If you go to Italy and ask for spaghetti meatballs, they'll look at you like you have 3 heads. It's not really served together. This is actually a classic Italian American dish. I have some ground beef. I have my ground pork. I know that my grandmother would put ground veal in this. I'm just trying to simplify a little. Make sure your ground beef is at least 80-20. That means 80% meat, 20% fat. If they're too lean, they tend to be a little on the dry side. I'm hitting this with some fresh garlic. I have Pecorino Romano cheese. Pecorino is sharp. It has a lot of flavor to it in a small amount of cheese. You can use Parmesan if you want. I'm using plain breadcrumbs, not seasoned. I want to control the seasoning. For this recipe, it's about 1.5 cups. The breadcrumbs make your meatballs more tender. Sometimes people will add milk to this, right? And that's kind of a classic Italian-American thing as well. I don't think that it needs the milk. I like to use just eggs, and I use a fair amount of eggs. I have 4 here for this amount of meat. Back when my grandmother was a kid, meat was a little harder to come by. Meatballs were a way of them taking that little bit of meat and extending that. You add breadcrumbs that are cheaper, you add cheese, you add eggs that are cheaper than the meat, and you're making this really nice thing that instead of just feeding 1 or 2 people, you can feed 5 or 6. Don't forget the seasoning, lots of fresh cracked black pepper, and then a fair amount of salt. The breadcrumbs, the eggs, and the cheese here make your meatballs more tender. They actually grab onto a lot of those juices. If you just use a little bit of breadcrumbs and not a lot of eggs or cheese, you're gonna get a really meaty meatball that actually tends to be a lot drier, a lot more crumbly. And what I like to do is just break up my yolks and start to mix some of the dry ingredients together on top, and then I bring my meat in and I'm gonna start to work this. A lot of people say, oh, don't work the meat, it's gonna be tough. No. We wanna work this so it's really mixed well. People tend to think you can overwork meatballs. We're not gonna harm this from working it. This feels like it's a little wet to me, so what do? I get my breadcrumbs and I just add a little more. If you look at the side of the bowl, it's kind of wet. I want the side of the bowl for the meat to pull away from it and not to be sticky. If I pick a piece up now, it's super sticky. So I want this to firm up a little more. So let's mix those other breadcrumbs in. It's starting to look a little drier. It's forming one big nice mass, almost like kneading it like a bread. This is the texture I'm looking for. It's slightly sticky, but when I roll my meatball, it holds its form. That is a nice mixture. So I'm gonna cook a little taster before I actually ball up my meatballs. And this is just to ensure that I have the seasoning and the texture right. This is one of those steps that a lot of home cooks will skip that I find is super important. Just put a little olive oil in your pot. We're gonna get a little piece of meat, flatten it out. It goes right in the pan. This is what makes restaurant chefs different from home cooks, is we're constantly tasting, we're seasoning, we're adjusting, and that's what you do here with meatballs. All right, let's taste this to make sure the seasoning is good.